students, in this class we are going to learn about some interesting facts in plants. Yes, transportation in plants. Have you ever wondered how the plant grow? Yes, plants are the amazing living things in the environment which we see around us. So, just like us, they also need nutrients and water to grow and stay healthy. So, the transport system in plants, it works similar to that of a circulatory system. But it doesn't has any pumping organ like heart, but it uses a simple mechanism to transport the substances inside the plant bodies. Okay. As we all know, what is the function of the root? The function of the root is to absorb water. And what is the function of the leaves? The function of the leaves is to prepare food, because we all know that plant comes under autotrophic nutrition. That means it prepares its own food. So for the preparation of the food, what it needs? It requires carbon dioxide, water and sunlight. And the process we call it as photosynthesis, and the product is glucose and oxygen gas. Okay, so in a plant, water is absorbed in the roots and food is prepared in the leaves. So it should be transported within the bodies. Okay, so before we begin to discuss in more detail how the water is transported from the roots to the leaves and the food from leaves to the roots, we should first need to gain some understanding of the plant tissues. That is, see, xylem and phloem, we call it as an conducting tissues or vascular tissues, or we call it as an vascular bundles. Okay. Xylem, it helps in the transport of water and minerals from roots to the leaves, and phloem, it helps in the transport of food materials from leaves to the roots and the places wherever it is required. Okay. So xylem has xylem vessels, tracheids, fibers and xylem parenchyma. Phloem has seed tubes, companion cells and phloem fiber. Okay, so most of the xylem cells are dead cells except xylem parenchyma, and most of the phloem cells are living cells except phloem fiber. Okay, apart from the transport function, xylem gives mechanical support to a plant, but phloem does not give any mechanical support, just it transport the food materials from leaves to the places of the plants wherever it is required. See, the flow of water from xylem to the leaves is unidirectional. Okay, it goes against the gravity, and the direction of the flow of food is bidirectional. You can see the arrow mark. See, the food is transported to various parts of the plant bodies wherever it is required. Okay. Now this is the combined structure of xylem and phloem. See, xylem, you can see the transport of water molecules and minerals, and phloem, it transports the food materials through sieve plates. This is the microscopic view of the cross section of a root. Okay, if you see under the microscope, you can see the structure of the root like this. So this one is the vascular bundles. In the center, we can see this. So in detail, we can see here. See, monocot root and dicot root. You can see the xylem. This one is the xylem. And in between the two xylem, you can see the phloem. Okay. Here we call it as metaxylem, the bigger one. And the smaller cells we call it as the protoxylem. And see here, you can have a look here also. It's a dicot root having xylem. This one is the xylem, and this arrow mark shows the phloem. Now this is the microscopic view of a stem, which shows the vascular bundles. See, the vascular bundles are arranged at the corner of the stem, and inside we call it as a pith. Okay. More in detail, we can see here monocot stem and dicot stem. See, this is the vascular bundles. So this structure, this purple color, it shows xylem, and this yellow one, it denotes the phloem. In dicot stem, you can see here. See, this is the xylem, and above we can see the phloem. So the magnification under the microscope, you can see clearly the location of the xylem, and this is the phloem. So xylem and phloem together we call it as the vascular bundles or vascular tissues, or we call it as the conducting tissues, because xylem helps in the transport of water and minerals and phloem helps in the transport of food materials. Now, how does the water from the soil is taken up to the xylem? Okay, what is the process? What is the mechanism behind it? We can see in detail. See, roots have root hair. Okay, so this root hair helps in the absorption of water from the soil. It increases the surface area for the absorption. So here the absorption takes place and the process is we call as osmosis. As we already know, what do you mean by osmosis? The movement of water molecules from higher concentration to the lower concentration. Here in the soil, we have high concentration of water compared to the root hair. Okay, so from the higher concentration, the water moves to the lower concentration, that is inside the root hair cell, and it has a membrane. Okay, so it goes inside with osmosis and then it is transported through the cells. See, it passes through the cortex and phloem and it enters into the xylem. So here the mechanism is due to the turgor pressure, cell pressure from one cell to another cell. It moves with the pressure. Okay, and it reaches the xylem, and then from the xylem it is taken to the upper part of the plant, to the leaves. So what happens in the leaves? So in leaves, evaporation of water molecules takes place through the small opening called the stomata. And in the leaves also, it has the vascular bundle, xylem and phloem. And what is the function of the stomata? Stomata are the tiny pores we can see in the leaf surface. Okay, it helps in the absorption of carbon dioxide from atmosphere, and it releases water and oxygen. So when the stomata is open, exchange of gases takes place. It takes in the carbon dioxide and gives out the oxygen. Along with that, it gives out the water also in the form of water vapors. It is evaporated by this process only. So when the evaporation of water takes place through the leaves, it pushes the water from xylem in the roots to the leaves due to the loss of water in the leaves. So the microscopic view of leaves you can see here. Here also we can see the vascular bundle, that is xylem and phloem. And the stomata you can see here. As I already told, it is the transpiration pull. So water, it is absorbed by the root hairs in the cell and it is passes through the xylem, and due to the water loss through the stomata, it pulls the water upwards to the plant. Okay, so the transpiration, it is a necessary evil thing, because when there is water loss, what happens? Water moves up, and when the stomata opens, what is the function of that? It exchanges the gases. It is the important function of the stomata. Along with that, what happens? Water also evaporates. Okay, since it evaporates, there is the transpiration pull. The water from the roots, it moves to the upper part of the plant. Do you understand about this? So the loss of water from the leaves in the form of water vapor, we call it as a transpiration. Okay. So the movement of food materials from leaves to the roots, we call it as a translocation. Hope you all understood the class. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your listening and happy learning.